Let me tell you something that might surprise you for a minute. Just hold on. Nearly 70% of Canadians say they couldn't handle a surprise expense of $1,000 or more without serious headaches. And I'm not talking about a major accident. I'm just talking about $1,000. Think of that for a minute. And it could be anything from a car repair to a dental bill or even a water heater that suddenly stopped working, right? If that fact feels like your story, you're not alone, trust me. And you've also come to the right place, because today we're going to talk about how to build an emergency fund and how to do it faster than you think. And so let's get into it. So think of an emergency fund as your personal safety blanket. It is literally money you set aside for moments where life happens. And trust me, life happens. So things like a job loss, medical expense, or an unexpected home repair, or even a family emergency that requires you to travel at the last minute. And with all these travel prices that we're currently seeing right now, you really need an emergency fund. Now, the standard advice is to save between 3 to 6 months of your essential living expenses. So if you add up your rent, your groceries, utilities, and other important bills, let's say, for instance, they add up to $3,000 a month. Your target is to save somewhere from $9,000 to $18,000 as your emergency fund. And now, I know that's a big number, but stay with me, because that number isn't something you build overnight, and you really don't need to. I'm not really asking you to do that. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to get started and build momentum. So let me show you something that a lot of people don't talk about. Even a small emergency fund of like $500 to $1,000, it significantly changes how you handle a crisis. So instead of reaching for your credit card and paying like 20% interest on top of an already stressful situation, you can just simply dip into your emergency fund, handle it, and move on. That's real power. That's what an emergency fund is literally for. Now, before we talk about how to save, let's quickly talk about where to keep the money, because that actually matters more than most people realize. So, an emergency fund, I need to hear this clearly, an emergency fund is not an investment. You are not trying to get rich with this money. You are literally saving this money, keeping it somewhere safe so that you can easily reach it quickly when life happens, as it inevitably will. And I'll recommend two solid options that basically tick both boxes. Option one, a high interest savings account. So digital banks like Simply Financial, EQ Bank, and Wealth Input Cash, they offer savings accounts with no monthly fees and interest rates that are typically much better than what the big five banks offer. So we're talking about accounts that can earn you a meaningful, decent return while your money just sits there waiting to be used. Option two is a TFSA, which is a tax-free savings account, if you're not familiar with the term TFSA. If you haven't maxed out your TFSA, packing your emergency fund inside a TFSA high-interest savings account is a very, very smart move. And any interest you earn is completely tax-free, which is different, which is not the case with a regular savings account. And as of 2026, the TFA contribution limit is around $7,000 per year, plus any unused room you've carried from previous years. The key thing here is keeping this money separate from your everyday checking account, because once this money is out of sight, it's kind of out of mind. So it's easy to dip into it if you really have quick access to it. And the human nature is to take the easy way out. So keep this money out of sight until you have an emergency. So, quick question for yourself. Let me ask you this real quick. Do you actually know what your monthly essential expenses add up to? So if you sum up your rent or mortgage, groceries, transit costs, insurance, utilities, all of it, do you actually know this number? If you don't, pause this video right now and calculate it, because that number is going to be key in what I'm about to show you in the second half of this video. Okay, so now we've reached the part you actually came for, which is how to build an emergency fund fast. Now, I'll give you several steps. Step one, set up a mini goal first. Don't start with, I want to save $15,000. No, that's too high. Start with, I want to save 500. Then build that up to 1,000. Now, here's what happens. If you reach a small goal, you build confidence. And with confidence, you're able to build good habits. So once you hit $1,000, you are able to build 3 months from that $1,000 with that same attitude. Step two, find your found money. And what this is quite simple. This is money that you already have, but you haven't mobilized yet. So think about things like a work bonus, like birthday cash, some gifts, or side income, or monies you get from selling items you no longer need on Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji. Now, step 3, this is where you cut one thing, not everything, just cut one thing. And this is what most people get wrong. They try to cut their entire budget at once and they burn out in 2 weeks and they just give up on the entire process altogether. So instead of cutting your entire budget, pick one spending category that you can reduce by like 60%. It could be cutting out a streaming service you no longer need. It could be reducing the amount of times you eat out from 4 times to something like 2 times. So the thing is, find something that you can realistically cut out of your budget and then you can build from there. Use that money, channel it into your emergency fund and grow from there. So I want to be honest with you for 1 second, right? If you are living in a city like Vancouver or Toronto, building an emergency fund is genuinely harder than in other cities. Now, data shows that in Vancouver, renters paid 43% of their after-tax income on rent alone, meaning even saving 20% of your monthly take-home pay might only give you a few $100s of breathing room every month to put into an emergency fund. Now, I know it might seem difficult, but the message here is making small, consistent contributions. It matters even more when your margin is tight. So something like $50 a month automatically transferred on payday will become $600 a year without even feeling a thing. You can even do that bi-weekly. So that will make it $1,200 a year. Step 4, which is the most important part, is you need to automate your savings. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account to a dedicated emergency savings account on the same day you get paid. Very important. Even $25 to $50, even $100, before you pay anyone else, pay yourself with an automatic contribution. And the banks have a pre-authorized contribution system where the money just leaves your account once you just set it up. And I think every major Canadian bank and fintech, they have this option. So what I really like about automated savings is you stop relying on willpower, because willpower is not always consistent. And step 5, use the 50-30-20 rule as a loose guide. So if you're not sure how to structure your budget around saving, the 50-30-20 rule is a solid starting point. So here's how it works. Take 50% of your take-home pay towards your needs, like rent, groceries, utilities. Put 30% towards wants, things like entertainment, dining out, subscriptions, while 20% can go towards your savings and debt repayment. And this is where your emergency fund lives. So you don't have to follow this guide religiously. Just think of it as a guide. It's not really a law, just something for you to work with and build around. And so once you've been able to save 3 to 6 months of expenses, take a moment to celebrate yourself, because you've done something huge. You've done actually a big deal. Then, after you've celebrated, do 2 things. First, do not touch your emergency fund until you have an actual emergency. And listen, a vacation is not an emergency. A concert is not an emergency. I know we're getting into summer, but concerts are not emergencies. I don't know what you want to tell me. A broken fridge in summer, that is an emergency. So use that wisely. The second thing you should do is revisit your target every year. If your expenses go up, if you have a new car, if you have a baby on the way, if you have some new expenses you need to pay, your emergency fund balance should also go up in line with that. Life changes, and your emergency fund should also change in line with where you are in life. Now, here's what that looks like in real life. Let's say someone is saving $200 a month, and in 5 months, they're going to get $1,000 saved up. If they're able to stay consistent, by month 18, they should be able to save $3,600. That sounds to me like a real peace of mind when something bad happens. Imagine having $3,600 that you can bank on in case of any emergency. Building an emergency fund is about giving yourself the best possible chance to handle anything life throws your way. Every single dollar you save is a step towards your own stability. And stability is key. Stability is a premium. So what I will encourage you to do is start small, automate early. Do not wait until the perfect moment, because the perfect moment literally doesn't exist. The perfect moment is even right now. So think about it and start. right? If this video has helped you in any way, please consider subscribing to my channel for more great content. I post new videos weekly, so let me know in the comments what your emergency fund goal is, and let's make it real by saying it out loud. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.